back to On the Fly. Today we have part 6 of our Gateway to Gold series. Today's topic will be Team Czech Republic. So obviously with the Czech Republic, they are a team that can have success at times, and other times, of course, they are the bottom end of the barrel. But this year especially, I think they do have a shot, especially if they can figure it out on the defense side. I think that will be one of their biggest weaknesses, especially in comparison to the team like the US, Sweden, Canada. All these teams have way better defense than the Czechs have. And then a net, of course, hot goalies can be whatever. And I think they got some pretty good ones in Mrazek and Vanacek. So overall, I think this team definitely has it in terms of the forwards. A lot of depth there. The one spot they really will struggle with, though, is their defense. We'll take a look at their depth chart, starting with the left wingers. So there are only 3 left wingers, I think, that really have a shot at the team. And those are Palat, Kubalik, and Vrana. So these guys, I mean, they aren't superstars, but they definitely do provide their value, and I think they will be someone to look for, especially as we go on down here. Moving on to the centers, you got Hurdle, Faxa, Nosek, Simon, you got Zaka, Kemp, Cheadle, Nakas, and then Krejci. He's coming from the Czech Extraliga. Once again, obviously not being a part of the NHL this year, that might mean that he's not a part of the national team, but he definitely has the talent to be there. And plus, you also get to look at him a lot more in the Czech, obviously with their national team development and their picking center there. I think it will be a pretty safe pick. That Krejci will be a part of this year's team. Moving on to the right wingers, there's Voracek, Yaskin, you got Zadina, you got Pastrnak, and then you got Kasha. I mean, another one of these lists where a lot of solid wingers. They are going to need a few of these guys to play their off wing. Obviously, they only have 3 left wingers right now. So whether that's a center or a right winger, someone's going to have to play their non-position, and we'll kind of see who that'll be. I do have my own predictions, but that will be coming out a little bit later on. Looking now, we're going to go on to the defense, starting with the left defenseman. So it doesn't matter a whole lot, but it does make a lot of sense to put them on their normal wings, especially because there's no sense in enforcing a move where they don't need to, especially with all the pressure in playing in the Olympics. It doesn't make a lot of sense to force them quite yet. So moving on to left defenseman, so you got Zboril, Simek, you got Libor Hayek, and Michael Kempny. Moving on to the right D, you got Radko Gudas, Jan Ruda, Filip Hronek, and then in the KHL you got Kundratek. So with this guy, I mean, from the Extraliga rather, he's going to be one that I think will be a wild card. He may or may not play, but I do like his chance, especially playing in the Czech league. He is already there, and I think it will be really important to get someone that's already played, kind of with the system the Czechs are going to go with, and I think Kundratek kind of plays perfectly in there. Moving on to the goalies, there's Mrazek, Vanacek, Riddick, Francois, and Vladar. So obviously nothing too crazy here, but I think Mrazek will be a pretty solid starter for them, and Vanacek will sort of be their backup. We'll now take a look at the lines. So I think the first line will be something along the lines of Vrana. You got Vrana, Hurdle, and Pastrnak. So with this line, sort of their big line, make or break kind of line. I think it is important for them to score a lot of goals. Obviously, they don't have a crazy amount of scoring on their team, a lot of two-way forwards. So I think with this top line, a lot of goals are going to be scored between Hurdle and Pastrnak, and then Vrana kind of the playmaker on that line. Moving on to the second line, I think it will be a mix between Palat, Krejci, and Voracek. So with this line, obviously, it's one of these lines that kind of plays a two-way game. Not as much offense are going to be made here, although I could definitely see quite a few goals being scored. They're not going to rely on them that heavily for offense. That's mainly going to fall to the top line, and I really think throughout this list, they're not going to need a lot of goals to score. Although their games will be a little bit higher scoring. Obviously, their defense aren't as good. But it will be interesting to see how they end up playing, and I do think that these games will be a lot closer than one might think. And really, all it's going to come down to is how well these defense find their chemistry, how quickly they can do it, And if they can, I think this team really does stand a good shot at the gold medal. But if they don't, which I personally don't think they will, I think they'll be lucky to get to the semifinals. Especially if they can win the bronze medal. I think it's definitely an accomplishment for them. I don't think they should have their hopes too set high on the gold medal, but definitely they should have their sets on the bronze. I think it's definitely an attainable task, and I really think it's definitely something to strive for. Moving on to the last line, or the third line rather, we have Cheadle, Marty Necas, and finally Philip Zadina. So obviously Zadina is more of a rookie player, Necas as well, and so is Cheadle. So kind of the energy young line. I definitely do like this sort of line, and I think it will provide a lot of solid minutes, a lot of fun, entertaining hockey. Between the three of them, I think they'll definitely sort of pop off and really be that sort of driving force. They won't need a lot of goals, obviously. As I said, with the top line proving for much of the offense. But this line will be another one of these lines where they'll definitely play a lot of solid defense, but they'll have their moments as well on the offensive attack. Moving on to the final line, I'm going to go with Kubalik, you got Zaka, and you got Kasha. So with this line, once again, a little bit more of that fourth line grindy kind of game. They're not going to be putting up a lot of goals, a lot of defensive minutes, sort of boring hockey in that sort of sense where they're just going to be playing a lot of defensive minutes, not a lot of attacking stuff, although they will get a few rushes that might as well lead to goals, but you never know with this sort of line. Moving on to the defense, the first pairing, I believe, and I'm not sure this one will move that much, is going to be Kempny and Hronek. So between the two of them, pretty much the guaranteed top pair. I don't see them moving too much, although a lot can change from now until the start of the Olympics in February. But I think for sure this will be the first line. If it doesn't, I'd be curious to see who it is. Obviously, there are quite a few spots that could move. Injuries could happen still. And I think if an injury does happen to the Czechs, especially on the defense, they're going to be scrambling. So definitely an interesting task before February, see who they can get on their team, especially if someone doesn't want to go. Although I'd be surprised if someone doesn't want to go, especially with the break that they get. But definitely will be something to look for. The next line will be Libor Hayek and Radko Gudas. So with this line, once again, sort of the second pairing that they have to put out. I mean, they're not going to be superstar defensemen, super lockdown defensemen, but they'll get their minutes in, especially assisted by the forwards. I definitely do believe this team could have a shot, especially if they can figure it out on the defense. And if the top line can get going as well, I think it's definitely a shot for them. And one thing I will mention for the forwards is it'll be interesting to see if they want to sort of separate Hurdle and Pasternak. Obviously, they're two very offensive players. Potentially moving someone like Krejci up to the top line to play with Pasternak will be something I will look for. Although, once again, they're not going to have the same chemistry as obviously Krejci did go to the Extraliga, so will be something to definitely be on the lookout for. The final line, I think, will be Zaboral and the KHL player Kundradik. So with this guy, this line especially, I don't know if they'll do it. I think if they do it, it'll definitely be a shot in the dark. These two guys, they could definitely have a lot of chemistry. They could definitely fail. It will be interesting to see. This is one line I really want to see though. I think it could sort of be the boom or bust line of the Czech team. And if they do get going, I definitely would like to see them put up some points. Obviously, Kundradik is someone that does well in the Extraliga. So with that in mind, I could definitely see him playing minutes. I could also see Kundradik also move up, especially playing top two lines. I don't see him playing top line. I think Hronek is pretty much a force there on the top line. But I could definitely see someone like Gudas dropping down, so it will be something to be on the lookout for. But we'll move on to the goalies now, and I think not much doubt here, as I mentioned before. Mrazek will be number 1, and then you got Vanacek being number 2. So with this line, obviously nothing too surprising here. I mean, this is pretty standard for the Czech team. A little bit a good starter, and then sort of falls off on the backup. But if I'm the Czechs, I'm just praying that the forwards can commit to the role and play some seriously good defensive minutes. If you made it this far in the video, thanks for watching. If you'd like to drop a like, free likes, consider subscribing, tell all your friends about it, and leave a comment down below your thoughts on Team Czech Republic. Until next time, see ya.